Breaking news. Russia's President Putin has called for immediate action to be taken to combat the rising cost of fuel. On Wednesday, with the price of wholesale gasoline increasing despite an export ban, Russian President Vladimir Putin called on the government to respond, more promptly, to the rising costs of fuel. Following reports of shortages in some regions, the Russian government announced last week that it would temporarily restrict exports of gasoline and diesel fuel in an effort to stabilize the domestic market. Putin said, "We will count on the fact that the proposed measures work," urging the government to collaborate more closely with oil companies to reduce prices. Putin told his cabinet members, "We must treat them with care, but nevertheless, I would ask you to react more promptly to the events that are happening." Despite the export ban, the market price of Russian gasoline increased again on Tuesday after falling from a record high the previous week. Experts say the declining ruble, increasing global oil prices, and refinery maintenance and repairs are to blame for the shortage. Local media have reported that a lack of fuel for agricultural machinery has prevented farmers in some areas from harvesting grain. With inflation above the bank's target of 4%, fuel prices are on the rise as the Russian central bank issues a warning that economic growth will slow down in the second half of 2023. Despite persistently high inflation and a weak ruble, Russian officials have largely dismissed the economic effects of Moscow's dragging offensive in Ukraine. Following the ban on gasoline and diesel exports and other measures taken to stabilize the domestic market, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday ordered his government to ensure retail fuel prices stabilize. Putin emphasized the urgency of the situation and suggested the cabinet consider re-evaluating taxes on the oil industry. In an effort to curb a rise in domestic fuel prices, the government on Thursday instituted a temporary ban on exports of gasoline and diesel to all countries outside a circle of 4 ex-Soviet states. However, after some easing of the restrictions was announced over the weekend, prices on the local commodity exchange started to creep up again. Even though these steps have been taken, price increases continue to be seen. "What the customer wants as a result," Putin said. "I'd like you to respond more quickly to events." Putin was informed by Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak that the government is considering taking further action. According to him, there are plans to impose new regulations on the export of grey fuel, and to increase the fuel export duty from 20,000 rubles per ton to 50,000 rubles, $518.24. According to him, the government is also considering reversing this month's reduction in damper payments, or subsidies to oil refineries. In recent months, Russia has seen gas and diesel shortages. Although retail prices are capped to try to keep them in line with the official inflation rate, wholesale fuel prices have risen sharply. Particularly hard hit have been regions of Russia's southern breadbasket, where a steady supply of fuel is essential for harvesting. The Kremlin may find itself in an awkward position if a major crisis occurs before the March presidential election. The current exchange rate for the dollar is 96.4810 rubles. Vladimir Soldatkin and Alicia Astahovas contributed reporting. Jan Harvey and Kirsten Donovan were responsible for editing.